1, 2, 3.
There. Oh, perfect. To me first, or? Okay.
10 games into this thing, you've had a number of these games that you've won, but not been thrilled with the way you've played. Is it too soon to tell like how close you might be to be playing the way that you want?
It'll be all year long, as far as the ebbs and flows, what the team's doing in certain situations. It's an all year long. I'm not going to be able to stand up and say, you know what, we got it. We're playing, because the next game it's going to be something different. So that's the game of hockey, and that's why I say I really think you just find a way to win, and that's the most important thing. And I think we have found ways to win hockey games.
You guys have a lot of back-to-backs still left this season, a lot where it's home away or away home. What goes into your decision-making in terms of which night to play Bob, when to give him rest?
It changes. It depends on the situation. It's a hard question to answer because it just depends on where their team is, where the momentum of our team is, how Bob is playing, a lot of different things. So I don't get too far ahead. And not all back-to-backs, I believe in playing two goalies. So I don't get too far ahead. So it's an everyday decision when we're coming to that, as far as which goalie plays.
Torts, teams come in focused on Jones and Werenski. What's changed for them? I mean, they're obviously a big part of the rush. Do you see them doing okay with that?
Joining?
Just being a part of the offense.
Oh, yeah. There was a big part of our offense our last game. I mean, I've told Z, he's not a defenseman. He's a rover. I want him up the ice all the time. I tell all our D that. I thought they were a huge part of the offense in our last game. Jack's up the ice, throws a shot on goal. Nick scores. Jonesy scores a goal. So we're concentrating on that. I think teams, not so much on the rush, I think teams are trying to cut off Z. Z is one of the better guys that it can escape. I call it escape. When he's in a tight spot, just escape one way or another. I think teams are really trying to focus on cutting angles off on him to try to contain him. Because once he beats you, he's tough to stop coming through that neutral zone. So I think there's a little bit of adjustment going on there with him, where he's got to fight through some stuff. But as far as not just those two, but all of them, we're stressing every chance you can get up the ice.
Now, that was the biggest thing, was the time and space for him to get, because they're focusing on him.
Yeah, they are. You can tell teams. I mean, he's a really good player, and teams focus on those, especially in the back end, when you try to stop them in the end zone before they get there at a steam through the neutral. We try to do the same thing against good defensemen. So, yeah, Z has to fight through some stuff, and I think that's good. It's going to make him a better player.
John, for those of us who don't see you play often, could you update us on how Matt Calvert's season's going and how you're using him?
Yeah, Matty's had a really good start right through camp. He could be one of our most consistent forwards. He does great things, but he has to score. I say that all the time about Matty, because Matt wants to be in a top six. He wants more ice time. He wants a lot of things, which I love about him, but he also has to produce too. Scores a huge goal for us the other night. I told the guys after the game he makes 3 plays. It's a tie face-off. He wins the battle at the hash, gets it back to our D. He goes to the blue. He tips the puck. It squeaks through the goalie. He bangs in the rebound. That's Matty Calvert. He's not going to be one that's going to be beating you one-on-one. He's going to go to the blue for you. He is a very important player for us. And right now, I don't know what I have as far as top lines. I think I have 3 lines I'm very comfortable with. Matty's in that role. I started him last game on the 4th line. I couldn't keep him there. In good conscience, I couldn't keep him there because I wasn't getting him the ice time he deserves. So the Matt Calvert update is he's been a really good player for us. He needs to continue, and continue to help us offensively too if he wants to stay in that role.
John, who starts today?
Goaltender? Bob.
don't know if you agree with the premise that Nick Foligno's been your best centerman. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Does it surprise you given
Not with
his
him,
unfamiliarity
no.
with the position?
From what was told to me when we talked about this during the summer, about our center ice position and maybe looking at Nick and Jens and all that stuff we've talked about, I think his one of his best years here, he played mostly center. I'm not sure what year that was, but I'm one of those guys when we had this discussion. So Nick Foligno is he's just a hockey player that will do anything to help the team. He understands what it is to be a pro. He understands the team dynamic and doing things to help the team. I think, because I talked to him early in the summer about this, you got to be prepared because we may move you in the middle. And just right away, anything you need me to do. So it doesn't surprise me because I just think he's all in. Anything he can do to help the team, he's going to do. I don't know who our center is, what our lines are. Answering that question, I don't know. I'm comfortable with the balances right now with the three. The fourth one, with the two kids in the wing and Dolps, who's been kind of a journeyman, I think I got to be a little bit strategic in placing them in spots. But I think either one of those three lines could be our top line tonight. I think they have the ability to do that. So we'll see where it goes.
Same line.
Yes.
Torts on that line, will you commit to that? I mean, a while earlier in the
I'm
season.
not committing to shit with you, Dave.
Earlier in the year, though, you committed yourself. You said, you know what I'm saying, you said,
I
I'm
lied.
going to stick to the Wenberg line, and then he changed it.
I lied. I can't. I'm telling you, Mike, when I talk about Winnie, and I tried to commit to it.
Yeah.
But it's it's the game of hockey. I can't sit here and say my lines are going to be game 9 or game 10 are going to be the same in game 20. That's just not the way the game's played. This is such it's such a game of different flows. And answering the first question, I don't know. I don't know where a team's going to be. I don't know if Winnie's going to start lighting it up and maybe Nick struggles. Maybe they have to change. So that's a very important part of my job. And I know people like to criticize it. I think people can play with anybody. I think it's a bunch of crap when players say, I'm playing with all these people. I don't believe it. The game of hockey isn't that difficult, and I don't think it's a lot of, all right, that guy can play with that guy. There's no chance. And if someone tells you that, they're lying. Just like I lied to you about committing to Wenberg's line.
John, maybe to tie all that together, you said you weren't necessarily comfortable with your lines right now. Is it okay to not be comfortable with your lines?
It is okay. Yeah, it is okay. I'm not going to be a mannequin back there and ignore what's going on with some of our lines at certain times. And I do think I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but a coach is most of the time, you know how coaches are. We're not okay with a lot of stuff a lot of times. But my battle is how long do I give it in certain situations. And so that's where I'm at. I saw it when I put the lines together. I forget, I was halfway through the second. I forget the exact time. It was bang. Cam, Jens, and Doobie connected. And I saw Andy just light it up for us as far as forechecking with that other line. So it's not only okay, it is what it is. That's the game of hockey, and that's part of coaching. That's a big part of coaching, is understanding and keeping your thumb on your team as far as what's going on with them. Does that answer your question, Allison?
Yeah, so you are uncomfortable and you just have to know when it's too much uncomfortable.
Yeah, is it stale? Is it really not working? Because sometimes you need to respect the players to figure it out. And I've really gone to that and not trying to coach them so much. I want them to figure it out, but you also have to give them an opportunity to figure it out. That's where you get a quick gun and you change it. That's not fair to the athlete. I don't think that's respectful to the athlete. So that's what I work on with our guys. Okay, thank you.